This is a magical podcast. Give it a chance. It can help you understand films and yourself. It has a special way of smoothing out the most ragged criticisms. Just join us on patreon.com/WassessCast Productions. For less than the cost of a botched house party, you can support and enjoy this show. Bonus episodes, early access, and exclusive content that's just for you. Again, that's patreon.com/WassessCast Productions. Join, or you will never rise from the ashes of your shame and humiliation. Welcome to the After Credits Cast, the only film podcast to confirm there are no bathrooms in the spirit world, and to bring a diaper. I'm your host, AJ Waseska, and joining me today I've got Ryan Metters.
I left my diaper at home. Can I run back and grab that real fast?
It is weird to be the only ones here still, but you know what? They will join us for the finale, probably. They have to. Everyone has to be here for the finale. Everybody. Maybe. We'll see. And if you want to join us for the finale, you can follow us on patreon.com/WassessCast Productions down below. You can also go to YouTube, HIPAA, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, TuneIn, Podcast Addict, and many more. I know Google Play is not a thing. I know they killed it. I know Google can't make up their mind on what they want to do. And that's perfectly fine. It's okay to be indecisive. I have a wife who's a little indecisive. I can be a little indecisive. But Google, you're a billion-dollar company. When you make a platform, fucking keep it out there for us, man. Anyway, we have an episode to do. I'm not going to go and rant about a company that does things that I don't like. Because if I was going to do that, I'd be talking about EA. Anyway, Ryan, are you ready to talk about tonight's episode?
I am, man. This is going to be good stuff.
Well, for side A, we have The Beach, originally airing October 19th, 2007, written by Katie Matilla and directed by Joaquim Dos Santos, animated by Moy Animation. Cast includes a few new faces. Takayo Fisher returns as Lo and Lee. I honestly don't remember if we mentioned them in the episode they first appeared in, so I'm mentioning them now. We have Eric Von Delton as Chan. And we have Ross Thomas as Ranjan.
Ranjan.
Mm-hmm. I have no other information, so Ryan, I'll turn it to you for fun facts.
All right, well, we got 3 of them here for you today. Katie Matilla, yes. Katie Matilla was chosen to write this episode because of her prior experience with portraying Zuko's angsty teen personality while in romantic situations, as she had done in The Tale of Zuko. So, I love that.
Good call.
Good call. Mm-hmm. Next up, according to the audio commentary, the beach's sand is gray due to volcanic ash, which is similar to the black sand beaches in volcanic regions around the world. I love little nods to actual, geographical, consequences, or just, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I would love to see a black sand beach. I've never actually been to one, and, once travel is now an acceptable thing again, I would love to go check that out, because that actually sounds really dang cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Last but not least, the original swimsuit designs applied to Azula, Mai, and Ty Lee by series creator Brian Konietzko stirred controversy in Nickelodeon Standards and Practices Division, which said they were too sexy for Nick at an early point in production and had to be redrawn because fucking Nickelodeon.
Well, okay, but let's be fair here. These are 3 underage teenage girls, and this is also a kids channel. I can kind of understand why they'd be a little skittish.
Well, yeah, to be fair, since I can't see the original designs, they might have been a little too risque. But, I mean, they probably were like, okay, no bikini bottoms, stop that. Just shut that down. They all wear shawls on their lower halves.
No bikini bottoms unless you're in SpongeBob, and that's only the city. That's only the city. I'll have a synopsis for you whenever you're ready.
I'm ready. Let's get it.
Zuko, Azula, and the Angels go to the beach at the request of Ozai. They spend a day trying to blend in, committing fan service and torturing locals all while learning about their own character flaws. Meanwhile, the gang is just chilling out when when a sudden encounter with a guy who breathes explosions occurs. A really well thought out battle happens as the team makes an escape. We also see the assassin intercept a message to the Fire Lord warning that the Avatar is still alive. That'll come back to play. Just you wait.
Damn, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of little details in this episode. It's amazing how much focus there is on the whole Zuko Azula situation. But then all the stuff with Aang and all that is incredibly interesting. It's just very understated.
Yeah. I mean, this is definitely a Zuko and crew focused episode, and like introducing Combustion Man to the gang and having them like kind of carry the action sequences part, like definitely was a smart move. It was a good way to kind of uh, juxtapose like the emotional trauma and like the hijinks that Zuko's group doesn't usually get to have.
Well, it's like when you use Sokka to break the tension from the A plot to have him do like a goofy little B plot thing. Like it's exactly that, and I think they do it really well here. I was watching a video, and I think it was from My Mother's Basement. I don't know if you've seen that channel before.
No, I haven't.
So he's a guy who analyzes anime, and he ranked this encounter with Combustion Man in his top 10. It's the number 10 of his top 10 fights from the Avatar series. And his logic, and I kind of agree with it, is that it shows not necessarily a straight up one-on-one like duel or anything like that, but more of just a frantic scramble to try to survive. And it's one of those rare times when you see something like that. It's one of those rare times you see this overwhelming force just come at Aang out of nowhere, and you see Aang take methods that he normally wouldn't employ to his fighting, because you've seen him before. He fights indirectly. He tries to avoid the attacks and confrontation. And so here you see him actually do some head-on attacks from his earthbending teachings. And he does some pretty good stuff here, and all of it in an effort to get away, because he can't fight this guy on his own at his current level.
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually. I mean, this is I want to say this is the first real like serious fight that the gang has gotten into this season. Am I wrong? Am I forgetting something?
Let's see. Let me look back at the episode list here. So we have Awakening, we have the headband, we have the fucking shit village, and then we have, what was the fourth episode? I feel bad. I should know this. We just talked about it. It was, hang on, don't tell me. It is, Piandao. This is actually the first life or death fight they've had all season.
Right. So, I mean, when you think about it, like the end of season 3 happened, and we've got him going up against the Earth Kingdom soldiers and the Dai Li, and just matching earthbending for earthbending. Then we see the tag team, him and Katara versus Zuko and Azula. So, the past 4 episodes have really been a breather from all that heaviness, while also having to deal with the emotional shit that came from the fallout of that battle. So seeing them kind of ramp up back into some real hardcore fighting was a lot of fun for this one, and I think they did it very well.
I guess then we'll keep on this tangent until we get to the Azula stuff, because oh boy, there's a lot of stuff there. Do you feel like Combustion Man's a legitimate threat, or do you feel like he's more of a one-note villain? Or a little bit of both, even. What are your thoughts?
I think the concept of him is really cool. I would love a bit of a deeper explanation from it. I mean, I you can't really get that from the hired goon that you have as a killer to go fight the Avatar. They will make more of this concept next series. But for this guy right now, I think he represents a very legitimate threat. He There's no nonsense. He's not talking. He's not incompetent. This dude comes at you from afar,
This dude
looks at you
fucks.
funny, and then blows you the fuck up. Like this guy is for real, for real. So, as far as diversity, all he is danger. It's just big ass danger sign around him. So in terms of character development or just like character in like period, he feels kind of one note, but the amount of danger that he represents makes the gang have to do things differently. So it's complex in that way. So yeah, it is kind of a bit of both.
Mhm. I would love to see more about Combustion Man's, like, not backstory per se, but like, so you read and watched Naruto, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember the villain in the Shippuden's half of the series, the immortal dude Hidan?
Yes. Yes.
So one of the things about him I always was annoyed by is like he preaches about this religion he's a part of, this cult he's a part of, and how cool all this stuff is around him. And the entire time I was reading it up until his character was removed from the series was I wanted to see more of this cult because it sounds fucking baller. Like not that I like think cults are awesome. I mean I kind of do from a like research standpoint, but like there's just an aspect of the world and lore that we don't get to see because this is all we can get of it. It's exactly how I feel about Combustion Man. Because how does combustion bending happen? Where did it start from? Is it genetic? Is it something you like do to yourself? Where does it come? Can you do normal fire bending? Like, there's so many questions I have that are not answered here, and I don't think they're really even answered in Korra when they introduce the other character. And it's kind of frustrating that there's like this facet of the world that is not at all explained. It's just there.
I mean, I think having things like that are kind of like a double-edged sword because while they're a bit frustrating that you don't get to know it, it makes the world feel bigger. Like you don't know everything about the world that they inhabit. There's still surprises. Like there are a lot of different forms of bending that make sense to our current understanding of how bending works. It's just applied differently, or it's applied to an element that we don't really think about. It's just like, oh shit, wait, you can do that with lava? Fuck, So, but it does make sense, like based on like the framework.
Right.
Looking at somebody and blowing them up makes zero sense to me. How does that work? I want an explanation on that because like it seems to be connected to firebending, but I don't know how. There's no forms. There's no martial aspect to it. They have a weird tattoo and they just look at you and you blow up. I want to know more about that.
Like I said, there's lore to this that isn't explained, and I want to know what it is because there's a lot of questions I have, and I'm not getting them. It's frustrating. Speaking of questions,
I mean, I would love to. I like you opened a can of worms with this Combustion Man thing because honestly, I would love if they did another series after Korra. I would love to see like the Fire Nation companion, a combustion person, because that's how we're gonna get some more information about it.
honestly, that's what it is, and I think they should also have a character from Naruto be like a Joshing cultist who's like, "Hey, let me tell you all about this shit." I'm kidding, but no, I love like that sort of stuff. I just would like a little more light on it, just a little more. All I want.
Mm.
Speaking of questions I have though, Ryan, can you sympathize with May or Ty Lee and their struggles about growing up? Why or why not?
Ooh, okay, so we're getting to the meat and potatoes of this episode. I think that my and Tylee's stories are definitely grounded in real issues that teenagers face. And, they can absolutely be caricatures rather than characters at times, but especially with this episode, you get the actual like grounding of their characters, and they're grounded in very real like issues and very real things that young people go through. I can sympathize with them. I think what it really just made me do is it made me hate Azula that much more. Because
Yeah.
Azula is absolutely taking advantage of these two women.
Why
And I'm
isn't
like, God damn.
why isn't Chaz here to defend his girl? Come on. No, but I
You know
get you.
what?
I get you.
What really kills me is that I've always felt worse for Ty Lee because, like, in her introduction,
Oh yeah, she gets abused.
yeah, in her introduction, she's like, yeah, I ran away, I joined the circus, and I'm just having a fucking blast. And Azula's like, that's nice, come with me. I need you to do some shit. And she says, no, I can't. I work here. I'm doing something that I love. And Azula's like, okay. And then makes her life hell and actively endangers her friend until she comes and does what she wants her to do. So hearing the actual reasons why these two, like, I feel like Mai is a little less taken advantage of because she just wants to do other shit because she's so fucking bored, and Azula like kind of gives her something else to do.
Well,
But
on
I
top of
really felt bad for Ty Lee.
that too, even when May is with Azula, she doesn't always follow Azula's directions to the letter.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Very true.
like Tylee will do it 100% as much as she can, but May will be like, no, I have a limit. I'm not going to waste my time doing this.
Yeah, and I mean, well, I love this episode because yes, it establishes them as real characters rather than just antagonists, but also with the like this is laying the groundwork for Azula's fall.
Oh
This
yeah,
is
no,
it.
absolutely.
This is it, and it's so good.
There's like 2 episodes that are pivotal to that. This, the Boiling Rock, and then of course when we get to the finale. But without this setup, the Boiling Rock payoff does not even matter. So,
Yeah.
yeah, you establish the differences between these characters and why there would even be friction between them, and this does that completely, because as much as these girls get along or have been quote-unquote friends, they have a tenuous grip on their friendship at best. Because it's more just Azula using them for her own ends.
Yeah, it's Azula using them for her own ends, and Ty Lee being somewhat afraid of her, but also wanting to be her friend, and Mai just not having anything that she cares about more than that.
Currently.
And when those two things change, Azula's world state fucking shatters, and I can't wait to get there.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of things that May doesn't care about, why do you think May and Zuko work as a couple, or don't?
Typical angsty teen romance. Okay, so in this episode, I don't think they work as a couple, but like I think the underlying basis of their relationship can work, and I think it does work. It's just that where they are right now in the story, these are two young people that absolutely just need to do some work on themselves first. They're not really
more
ready
so
for
than the
an
other, but
actual
yeah.
relationship. Yes, absolutely, one more so than the other, but both of them could use some good time alone to just figure some shit out.
Yeah, I'll have some words about that when we get to the boiling. Well, no, the Boiling Rock episode, I think, is where I put that question in. So yeah, we'll get there. We, the audience, likely understand why Zuko's angry with himself, but why do you? What do you think drew him to this conclusion during the episode?
I think what we're seeing here is one of the culminations of like a culmination of a lot of the shit that Iroh has been teaching him, or like really when like I feel like a fuse was lit when Iroh said it's time to start asking yourself the big questions. Because once he makes the move to betray Iroh and claim everything that he thought he wanted, now he's stuck in this situation where he feels odd and he feels a sense of anger, but he doesn't know where it's coming from and where it's going. And the one person that he could ask those deeper questions to is in prison, and it's by his own hand. So he's just kind of boiling inside, and then eventually, like, it culminates in because he has to ask those questions himself, and he has to work for those answers now. So it's partially because of the situation that he's put himself in, and it's partially because of the clarity that he's getting after getting exactly what he wanted and realizing it's not all it's cracked up to be.
Yeah, it really does seem like it's just a bunch of things all coming to a head here, and I think part of it too is the build-up of his guilt. I mean, here he is on a beach having a vacation, and I think part of him feels like he doesn't deserve this. Part of him feels like this isn't. Because the episode begins with them being essentially kicked out by Ozai because he's meeting with his high-level generals and stuff. And the episode starts with him, Zuko, complaining about how they should be in those meetings too. So I think, like I said, he doesn't really feel like he deserves his vacation. He feels like he needs to do more work and be more active in what he's supposed to be there for. And I think he's starting to slowly but surely realize just how, I'm trying to think of the word, just how much...
How out of place?
How out of place he is. Because he comes to that conclusion pretty quickly here soon. And we'll get to that here in a few episodes. But, yeah, I think that's all what's happening here. And that's why he's angry, because he traded in genuine happiness and genuine love from his uncle for this, and I don't think he realized until now what this was going to be.
God, I love it. This is crucial. This is crucial to his story. Like, and like when you first watch the end of season 2, and you just feel such like rage and just hatred for Zuko making the wrong choice, even though you can see on his face the conflict, and he's white knuckling through that fight, just like, look, everything I've been fucking working towards is literally at the end of this fight. I don't care how bad it feels, just fucking do it. You're almost there. And he's just fucking gritting his teeth to get through it. And after all of that, after putting his beloved uncle in prison, it doesn't feel as good as he thought. That's crazy. And now he's left alone with his feelings. The only one he can blame, the only one he can talk to is himself. And he has to figure it out. So, like, this is, like, that fuck up is crucial for him to get to where he ends up. So.
I know we've talked about before how we'd love to sit down and just have a nice long talk over tea with Uncle Iroh. But man, wouldn't it be just a treat to talk to Zuko and just kind of work through the shit he's going through here? Like, there's some complexity that'd be fun to unravel.
I mean, absolutely. I would love to sit down with old man Zuko, with old Fire Lord Zuko, because even if he's not as wise as Iroh, this is a guy who's actually walked the path. He's actually been through some shit. He's got some wisdom to him now. Like, I'd love to pick his brain. If I couldn't talk with Iroh, I would absolutely love to talk to Zuko.
I have to imagine Fire Lord Zuko has grown to be the closest to Iroh in terms of wisdom in his generation. Oh, yeah. It has to be. What do you make of the parallels between the relationships of Zuko and Ozai alongside Azula and Ursa? And if you need me to dive deeper and explain it, I can.
Yeah, because that's a deep one. Yeah, keep talking.
So obviously, Zuko and Ozai's relationship is pretty straightforward. It's an abusive parent treating their kid terribly, and thus there's a reasonable amount of animosity towards them. Between Azula and Ursa, it's sort of an inverse, but also kind of the same, where Ursa never mistreated Azula, but Azula always felt like there was some sort of fear or emotional disgust towards her, and so she always had some sort of resentment towards Ursa. And if you flip the roles around, Ozai, the more violent, angry person, the less fitting parent, got along with Azula, who is a sociopath, whereas Zuko, the one who's more in touch with his feelings, got along with his mother. And so that's kind of the parallels we're dealing with here today.
Yeah. I think what's really, really interesting is that both child wanted from one parent what essentially they could never obtain. You know, like Zuko wanted his father's like love and his father's pride, but in his father's eyes, Zuko was never good enough.
He was always a failure.
He was always a failure. Whereas Azula wanted like the same, like the tenderness and the affection from Ursa, but there was always that slight gap because as much as Ursa loved Azula, I think there was a part of her that was scared of her because she was a fucking sociopath. And I think what makes it sting is that the other sibling got what the other person wanted easiest. Like, of course Zuko's gonna be jealous of Azula because Azula just has to breathe and her father's like, excellent, you are the fucking pinnacle of what a Fire Nation person should be. And Zuko could fuck up time and time and time again, and his mom was always there with a kind word and a smile and some encouragement. So it was just like they're naturally positioned to get what the other person wants. I think that's a huge reason why their rivalry is so deeply entrenched that it's hard to actually bridge the gap. Like they've grown up seeing the opposite person get everything that they themselves wanted from the beginning.
Yeah, I can understand that, especially because, I mean, from experience, I wonder if this is more of a sibling thing, but when I was a kid, my dad was never around. He was working multiple jobs, and so when I was really little, I never really got raised by the dad of the family. Even when he came home, he was always just going straight to sleep because he's working 3 jobs. So, whereas when my brother was born, shortly after, my dad kind of rearranged his priorities a bit and was able to come home more often. So my brother, growing up, got to see more of him than I did when I was a kid. So it was one of those weird things where it always felt like they had a better, closer connection than I did with him. So I kind of see that. I kind of relate to Zuko's story a little bit there.
Yeah, I think it might like it's yeah. You can definitely speak more to that. I'm an only child. I didn't have to I didn't have to fight somebody for affection. My psychosis is that I had no friends, so I just talk to myself all the time.
Oh, like you're doing now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. See, you see what I'm doing over here. But no, I love this complex setup. I think the truly tragic part of it is that Azula couldn't really see how much her mom loved her because like she has a mental disorder where she's not good at reading that, or she's not like really capable of empathizing with that. She can manipulate people like nobody's business, but in terms of actually feeling and like accepting those emotions, like it's she's so tightly controlled that that was never really going to go through.
And as you said in the previous episode, Ozai capitalizing on that mental illness did not help her in any single way at all.
Yep. Yeah, it's hard to improve when your worst traits are goaded on by your father, who who has a level of power that you want to obtain because, you want to be in control, but also who emulates you, who you see yourself in, like from jump. If you connect with your father more and your father just keeps on encouraging the worst traits, obviously you're going to get the worst traits like more amplified because it's just constant good feedback from horrible shit. Of course she did that. Also, she had more time with that bad influence than Zuko had with the good influence because unfortunately Mom had to disappear for a while.
Which you'll find out more about that in an upcoming, actually you might have already seen it, in an exclusive Patreon episode. Go check it out. Link is somewhere. You'll find it. If it's not already. If not, it's coming soon.
It's somewhere in time. Don't worry about it, guys.
Speaking of which, Azula claims her mother thought her to be a monster. But we come to see that may not be true. Why do you think Azula has these feelings, and how much do you really think they bother her?
That's hilarious. We were just talking about this. We kind of inadvertently answered this question, but I think in terms of like noticing the fear that her mom had because of those sociopathic tendencies, but also maybe just not being able to accept like the care that she was trying to give her. It's so opposite from the bullshit that Ozai was feeding her that it just read to her as weak, but she wanted it anyway. So I feel like the desire for her mother's affection and her mother's love was always there, but it was buried so deep down because A, it's not Ozai-like, and B, her desire for it is illogical in her mind. It's inexplicable. I think like it's a point where she feels like she doesn't have control. So I think that's one of the things she would try to lock down immediately. And I think my hypothesis in that will be proven towards the end of the season where we really start to see her unravel.
Mm-hmm. Spoilers, by the way. For Side B, we have The Avatar and the Fire Lord, an episode I've actually been really looking forward to.
Oh, dude, this one. Okay, yeah.
Originally airing October 24th, 2007 in the UK and 26th in the US. Not sure why. Written by Elizabeth Welsh Yes and directed by Ethan Spaulding. The cast includes Sean Marquette as Teen Sozin, Andrew Caulfield as Teen Roku, Ron Motherfucking Perlman as Sozin.
Are you fucking serious?
Ron
Okay.
Motherfucking Perlman. And Gray DeLise as
Delisle.
Tommen. She also
Gray
plays
Delisle.
Azula. What?
Gray Delisle.
So bad names.
That one's a hard one, but I've heard it said enough in voiceover stuff. Yeah, that's Gray Delisle.
Fair enough. The voice actress that plays Azula is also playing Tommen, which is the wife of Roku. So here I was thinking it was going to be the Hulu, but anyway.
See, that actress has range. She can be sociopath, and then she can turn around and be really, really caring person.
I know, right? That's awesome stuff. I actually want to look her up real quick while you're doing the fun facts. I want to see what else she's been in.
Oh, yeah. She's been in a lot, so get ready. But for the fun facts, we have 3 of them. First one being, during Roku's wedding, guests in blue and green clothing can be seen, representing the openness of the four nations before the war. Before Sozin fucked it all up. Good job, Sozin. Next up, the Fire Lord Sozin justifies the invasion of the other nations as sharing wealth, a concept derived from Japanese imperialism. In World War II, the Japanese Empire used an ideological construct, Daitoa... Why'd you do this to me? Okay.
You want help?
No, hold on. Give me a hot second. Daitoa Kyoikan? Kyoikan?
I think that's right. let me look at it. I have to see it. Daitoa Kyoikan. Yep, I think you had it right.
All right. which is, of course, the Great East Asia Co-Prosperity Sphere, to justify invading China and conquering the South Pacific, just as the Fire Nation has invaded the Earth Kingdom and the Water Tribes. It's almost like we built this shit off on actual historical events. Get the fuck out of here. Finally, the stance and motion that Fire Lord Sozin uses to sink and redirect the volcano's heat energy directly mirrors the form that Iroh and Zuko use to channel and redirect energy from lightning. The evolution of martial arts. I love this shit.
Mm-hmm.
The masters that they contracted for the animations and the fight choreography are just... Y'all have got it. It's storytelling through fighting. I'm 100% here for it. 100%.
So, I didn't realize she was also the voice of Selena Kyle in the Batman games.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. I got a synopsis here for you real quick. It's going to be brief because we'll get to the questions because got to prepare for the next episode. Synopsis. Aang is told to go see Roku for a long exposition on what led to the 100-Year War. Zuko is given a note telling him to go find a secret to the death of his great-grandfather. Both learn a valuable history lesson, and Zuko's eyes are open to his deeper connection to the Avatar. The rest is lore regarding Sozin and Roku. We see a summary of Roku's Avatar journey. We see Sozin's slow descent into global conquest. We see the former two friends fight. We see Roku die, and Sozin allows it to happen. And we also see the beginning of the 100-Year War. Pretty straightforward to the point.
Yeah, Sozin's trash. He's just a fucking trash person. Oh my god.
Voiced by an angel, but
oh yeah, like all love to Ron motherfucking Perlman, all love, but yeah, this character's an asshole.
Well, let's start off with the first and foremost. What are your thoughts on Iroh's new voice actor? Did we ever just do this question in a previous episode? I think I may have. Yeah, okay, so we can ignore that one because we already did that in a previous episode So originally when I wrote these scripts, I thought this was the episode he first talked in. It turns out it was an episode or two ago. So I had to rewrite the script a little bit. So
Right.
Ignore that one. Do you think Sozin's intentions are always world domination, or do you believe in his message of sharing prosperity with the world? Why or why not?
I believe it is very, very easy to convince yourself of atrocities if you couch them in necessities. I think this gets easier still when you're placed in a position of great power, because with great power comes great responsibility.
I've heard that before.
Yeah, wise men have said it. I think one of them was an uncle. Anyway, actually, both of them were uncles. Anyway, the concept of having to do like big and sometimes questionable things, you can couch it as a responsibility to the people that you're trying to lead and the people that you're trying to protect. I think that there's a very shifting gray morality there, in that there are some things I think that are necessary to undertake, but there are also some things that aren't, and you're just kind of couching like your desire to control shit in that. So whether or not he started as just a megalomaniac, I think it was a bit more of a slippery slope for him, but I think it was elements of both, because we saw Sozin's face change, where on his big day Roku was named the Avatar, and this is his boy, and it's his best friend, and it's a great honor, and he's got an in with the Avatar, but it's also his big day and he's getting upstaged. You can kind of see that cross his face very subtly, but you can see that kind of that divide start there. And then as they spend time apart, as Roku travels the world, or travels the nations to learn bending, you can see that separated from each other's influence, Sozin kind of spirals down a bit of a darker path, and the two are kind of a little unrecognizable when they first meet up with each other. But the divide has been slowly growing. So yeah, I think both of them are always there.
Do you think if Roku had agreed to work with Sozin when he was first proposed, he might have been able to better direct the overall output of Sozin's ideas and maybe prevented the war that way? That's not a question on the list. I just thought about it as you were talking.
Yeah, no, I get that. I don't think there would have ever been a version of Sozin's plan that wouldn't have involved some sort of invasion.
Okay.
Because it wasn't like, you can see, it wasn't really about sharing the prosperity of the Fire Nation, but it was about control. And especially having spent years amongst the other nations and learning how our like, we have to celebrate our differences. The beauty of us as a species is in the diversity of our people, and that needs to be maintained in order for humanity to flourish and to thrive. So one person wanting to take over everything is always bad for business in terms of like where the Avatar's mindset is. And I think that kind of thinking also gets really squashed when you go out and live amongst other people and other cultures. You start to really lose that ignorance and that sense of hate and bias because you're living amongst other cultures and you're seeing that while they're different, there's a lot of shit that's also connecting you, and that the things that connect us are more than the things that divide us. So I don't think there's any version of Sozin's plan that Roku would have rocked with.
Okay. Speaking of Roku, do you agree with Roku's comment about how the four nations are meant to be kept separated? Why or why not?
I think that's I think that goes back to what I was just saying in terms of celebrating the diversity of various people. I think it's a night. I think it's not half baked. I don't want to say half baked, but I think it's that thought is not quite developed enough, because while the differences of our nation should absolutely be celebrated, the trick is to bring us all closer together while celebrating those differences, not smoothing everything out to be uniform. It's like I think this is really what Aang starts to see, and really how the world state of the nations comes to be in the time of Korra, where they all rule together and the differences are celebrated and kept, but they all are closer as well. It's kind of like looking left and right at the same time, but it can be done.
When he first said that, it made me raise an eyebrow. I'm thinking to myself, I don't think it means what I'm thinking he's saying, but so I get what his sentiment is, i.e., the nation should also have their own identities and should not be under one rule. But right. I think the wording of it is very poorly chosen.
Right.
It sounds like he's advocating that no one should be allowed to be together.
Yeah, like he's on the right track, which makes sense that Aang is the one to pick up that thought and finish it. Like, Aang is the one that actually completes that shift to what Roku had started to see as the Avatar.
What are your thoughts regarding Roku's demise?
Sozin's a fucking bitch. Oh my god. I mean, it's. Of course, Sozin's gonna go out the most boss way possible by fighting a fucking volcano. It makes sense that it's not one person that takes the Avatar down, but it's actually an act of nature that he has to fight because he's that goddamn strong. So I think that was a fitting end, but really it's the letting Roku die specifically because he realized that if Roku is gone, then I can do my thing. And so he writes off an 80-year friendship in order to go after the power grab that he's been looking for. That's what makes him a trash character in my eyes.
But what makes it work really well, though, is the aftermath. Even though Roku is gone, Sozin is paranoid to the end of his days because he knows that the Avatar is out there waiting for him.
Yeah. Like
And
how
he dies a crazy old man, and I love it.
I love that shit too. Like it's hilarious to me that the like how do you screw over someone that you know is going to be reincarnated, that you know is going to have a direct spiritual link to the dude you just fucked over? It's like, if there's anybody you don't screw with, it's this guy. So while it's horrible, I absolutely understand his move to just wipe the air nomads off the fucking map. He's like, no, I let that dude die, so now I gotta kill him as a baby. Just take him off the board.
But what's dumb about that, though, is even if he kills all the Airbenders, then it just reincarnates into the Earth Kingdom. And then what do you do? Wait, no, sorry. Water Tribe. That's what it is.
Well, I think what they were trying to do was to capture him and then hold on to him rather than kill him, because that's what oh boy
Shao.
yeah, that's what Zhao was on. He's like, oh no, we're not gonna kill you. You would just be reborn. That's dumb. No, we're gonna just hold you in prison forever. So it's easier to do that when the Avatar is 6 years old, as opposed to when the Avatar is 18 and mastered all 4 elements and is about to fuck your shit up.
Dude,
you know what I mean?
Wouldn't it be a fucking great time of a series to start off a series of the Avatar where the character just starts their whole journey in a jail cell and they have to learn their most basic bending to break out and then go learn their bending elsewhere while being a fugitive?
Yes. Yeah, that's some dark shit, but yes.
That's some Dark Souls shit, but I'm down for it.
We open to our protagonist in a jail cell. A knight drops down with a key.
I mean, there's a lot of good games that start that way, so it's not like it would be a bad choice.
No, I mean that's some classic RPG shit. I mean, I'm not mad at it. I'm definitely not mad at it.
There's someone out there typing furiously saying, "No, you've already done this to every Elder Scrolls game. Change it up now." Seriously, Elder Scrolls 6, can we do something other than being a prisoner to start with? Like, anything. You've done it a couple times in a row now. It's getting a little stale. Anyway, where am I at here? Do you feel Aang received the correct message from Roku? Why or why not? And how does this lesson get implemented in the show?
Remind me on the message that he gets from Roku, please.
Let me try to remember wording. I think the exact wording Aang uses is that anyone is capable of great good or great evil, even in the Fire Nation, or something like that.
Yeah.
I'll look it up to get the exact wording, but I think that's what it was.
Okay. Well, in that case, I mean, I can see Roku giving that story or giving that lesson as a direct contrast to being betrayed by his oldest friend and saying, hey, like, everybody is capable of extremes, so do not put it out of your mind that someone is capable of this shit. Like, I would have never thought my best friend would have left me to die, no matter how mad we were at each other. I was gonna make sure he was okay, and sometimes it be your own people, is essentially what I heard him saying. But the way Aang takes that and kind of flips it on the opposite, it's like, well, anybody's capable of great evil, but anybody is also capable of great good. And if each moment presents someone a choice to make the different choice and to choose the different path, then what right do I have to end their journey and rob them of that choice? Because every moment is a chance for them to do better. I love that. That's a huge, like, that's the logical step, but it's a big step because it involves forgiveness and moving past the wrongs that have already been done to you. Because
Which
you
is hard
have
for some
to.
people.
It's hard for everyone, man. That's hard for everyone. If you've been screwed over, I don't care if you're the nicest person on the planet, that's hard to do. And
Uh,
Aang, who has absolutely been dealt horrible, horrible hands and have lost so many loved ones, for him to have the strength of moral character to try to make the opposite choice when every one of his past lives says do option A, he chose option B. That's strength of character.
the exact wording, just so everyone's on the same page. Roku was as much Fire Nation as Sozin, right? If
Mm-hmm.
anything, their story proves anyone's capable of great good and great evil. Everyone, even in the Fire Nation, or even the Fire Lord and the Fire Nation, have to be treated like they're worth giving a chance. And I also think that it was about friendships.
Okay. Yeah. It sounds like Roku was almost there,
Yep.
even though in in like ending episodes, like we'll hear that change a little bit. But I mean, we can talk about that when we get there.
Well. Speaking of which, a bit of an illusion here, or a bit of a precursor to that. What are your thoughts on the relationship between Roku and Sozin, and how it is a stark opposition to Aang and Zuko, both of which involve an Avatar and a Fire Lord, of course.
I think it's very interesting to it's very interesting that the relationships are kind of the inverse,
Mm-hmm.
where Roku and Sozin start out as close as possible, and over time and ideology grow apart. Whereas Aang and Zuko, they start from that opposite spectrum. I need to capture the Avatar and gain my honor. And over the course of time, they grow closer. So I love that they do it the inverse, particularly because we start to see like this is essentially the big glowing neon sign saying, "Hey Zuko, while the Avatar is like destined to help like stop the fighting, you have to be the guy that puts shit back together again.
You have to
That's
be
your
part.
role."
You have to be part of the administration's transition team.
My man. My man, please.
What is that not true?
No, you're right, right. But I mean, like, it's like this is making his role in the story abundantly clear. The fact that yes, Aang is supposed to defeat the Fire Lord and like end the threat, but the world is wounded. The world has been shattered in a lot of ways. And Zuko has to play a key role in helping to mend that moving forward. It's not all just Aang.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
yeah. So I think like this episode makes that abundantly clear. And it's like throughout 2.5 seasons, essentially the writers have been saying, "Hey, Zuko's the second protagonist. Hey, Zuko's the second protagonist. Hey, Zuko's the second." This is like shouting, "Hey, Zuko is the second protagonist."
It's almost like we established that point back in season 1, episode 11. Was that the storm? I think it was the
Yeah.
storm.
Mm-hmm. It was either 11 or 10, but yeah.
Yeah. No, but I think the other thing I like about this relationship loop, and I'm calling it a loop because it does start it starts where it ends, and it's just a very unique story because it ends with the first half ends with Sozin like you said, they're apart. He's hunting the Avatar, and hey, Zuko picks up where he leaves off. It's a perfect loop almost for the four of them. And I just think I don't know if they plan that 100% from the beginning, but it's a perfectly great way to round their stories out in a good loop that allows the ending of Aang and Zuko to feel even more naturally earned.
Right. And I think it's very interesting because you could, like, I made mention that when Roku leaves to begin his training and you see them like grow older but they grow apart like outside of their influence, like you see Sozin kind of begin to descend,
Uh-huh.
knowing that Zuko has the blood of both Roku and Sozin in him, it's almost like this is what Sozin might have been had he constantly had Roku's influence in his life. It's almost like we get to it's like we give Sozin a chance to try again.
A little bit, yeah. It's kind of
I know that's a little bit of a stretch, but I love the poetry of that.
it's one of those things where it's like Sozin's a monster, and you can look back on it for sure and see it in the history that we're given. But at
And
the
you
same
can
time,
see it in his descendants as it's constantly carried down along 100 years of war.
but at the same time, though, I can't help but feel sorry for him. I can't help but feel like it's a tragedy almost. Like, had his life not gone the way it did, had he managed to stick by his friend or been able to go on that journey with him or something, he might have actually been able to turn out to be a good person. But because of the obligation and because of the separation, he was just taken down a path that corrupted him and led him to the conclusions that it did. And that same corruption fed into his whole family, and it sucks. And yeah, I can't see anything but tragedy there at that point.
Honestly, I would love a prequel. I would love a small short series where we get to see Roku go and like do his avatar training because that's boss, but we also get to see Sozin. I want to see who was whispering in his ear. I want to see if it was just like his own little like thirst for conquest kind of billowing up into a raging fire without his friend's calming influence. Like I want to see that.
It was probably an idea his dad said to him after giving him his third loan after a failed business or two.
Help.
There's a fan theory, Ryan. I'm going to switch topics here and end the podcast in a minute. There's a fan theory that suggests each avatar makes up for the failings and shortcomings of their predecessor. How do you think Aang's term as avatar makes up for Roku's shortcomings, or does it?
I mean, there's the explicit one in which Aang stops the war that
Roku
sparks
let happen.
because that Roku. I feel bad in even saying that Roku let it happen because literally he was like, as long as I'm alive, this shit's not happening.
But
And
he
it literally
shoulders the guilt. He shoulders the guilt for it. I'm going with how he views it as.
okay, that's fair. That's fair. So he thinks of this as his own fault because it's something that he allowed to happen. I disagree, but that's fine. So of course there's the explicit reading of that in which Aang ends the war that Roku allowed to happen. But I mean, when you think about the concept of togetherness as the four nations that need to celebrate their differences but also come together to achieve common goals, I think him kind of completing Roku's ideology, and really like maturing that to the next level, really like ushering in that train of thought with Zuko. I think him taking Roku's lesson to heart, saying anybody is capable of great good or great evil, even in the Fire Nation, and maturing that to his decision with uh so with
Scissor?
Ozai, thank you,
Oh, sorry.
Ozai at the very end. I think there's a lot of different tracks where Aang picks up what Sozin, I'm sorry, what Roku left off, and then made it better.
That's fair. That's fair. The theory, for those who are wondering, I have it linked in the script if Ryan wants to check it out later, but it's a theory that started from Avatar Korra, because she does sort of have a lot of things going for her that Aang didn't. She's a bit more aggressive, she's a bit more willing to engage in combat and willing to actually take the fight to her opponents, but she lacks the spiritual side that he had. And it kind of goes from him picking up where Roku left off, like you said, and then I think they said something about how, and it goes into more detail using lore from like Kyoshi and Kuruk, but I don't know that 100%. And of course, the further back you go, the less information you have. So, but it's an interesting theory to be sure. I think it actually lends a little bit of credence to the whole reincarnation thing in a unique way.
I'm very interested in that. Yeah, I'm very interested in reading about that.
With that, that is today's episode, or this week's episode, I should say. We can roll into the review of the episode. Before we do that, make sure you check out patreon.com to support our show. You can also follow us on Tumblr, Twitter, and Facebook. And Ryan, if they want to email us their fan theories about The Last Airbender, where could they email that at?
Fuck, why is this always taking me by surprise? You can email that to, it's pronounced Delisle, not Delise, at excuse me. That's evacstation at gmail.com.
Well, with that in mind, let's go ahead and review these episodes. Let's start with The Beach, Ryan. How would we rank that one on our scale from platinum to bronze, all the colors in between?
I kind of want to... I kind of want to give this a very high silver. Now, hear me out.
Okay.
I think... First of all, I think the action with the gang and Combustion Man is really, really cool. It gives us some, like, hard-hitting action that we haven't seen in a minute, and that's great. It's great juxtaposition for, like, the other, like, more character-driven stuff. I think it provides great detail into Azula and the Angels that we've been lacking because they've just been antagonists, and we actually get a chance to look behind the curtain and see what's going on with them. And I think it gives Zuko some more spotlight time for him to really develop, because he's essentially a bubbling cauldron right now, just trying to figure out what the fuck's going on, and he needed to let that out. That being said, for me, it's not as hard hitting as other character development episodes. It could just be because the characters, aside from Zuko, irritate me to no end. I mean, not like one character irritates me to no end, and the other two are casualties of that other character. So the whole thing just makes me sad.
I wonder who that is.
But yeah, also the it is like, I don't want to like it's as fan servicey as Nickelodeon's going to get, which doesn't bother me. But like the fact that it's couched in an episode where they're trying to be teenagers and they're failing so hard, it doesn't feel as serious as a character development episode, or at least like as I take ones. The other character development episodes. Yeah. So like I think it does great work. I think it's a very good episode, and I think it's integral words. I think it's integral to big character moments that are coming up in the rest of the series, but there are better episodes out there.
I was gonna go gold, but I think you talked me down. I think. Well, no. So I think you make a good case. I think it doesn't focus enough on the character development, and it gets a little too goofy at times. And I think its lack of focus hurts that a little bit. And the other aspect I want to consider too is that what character development we do get is kind of ham-fistedly delivers exposition versus just showing us their characters.
Yeah.
And
it's a lot of tell in
yeah,
that final bonfire.
as visually impressive as it is, with Zuko's just firing, burning rage nonsense and everything else, it doesn't do as well as other character building episodes. So I'm going to rank this 1 silver Delizzle out of 5.
Delizzle.
Moving on to the Avatar and the Fire Lord. Ryan, I know what I'm going to give this one without question, but I'm curious what you're going to give it.
Oh yeah, dog. This is platinum.
Platinum all the way.
This is a platinum. This is a platinum episode.
Listen. You don't get Ron motherfucking Pro on an episode and have it not be platinum.
Absolutely. I mean, this is key world building. This is how you world build and tell an amazing story at the same time, and they tied it masterfully to both the state of the world and the turmoil that's happening inside Zuko. Even though both characters are getting the stories from the opposite, they still kind of manage to focus it on Zuko. I feel like Zuko got the more important message out of the episode. That's just me.
Even though he isn't trying to reiterate it to his friends, because oh wait, he doesn't have any friends yet. Poor guy.
But again, like this is more shit for him to chew on. Like this first half of the season is all about Zuko's journey of self-reflection. He actually has to sit and think on these big ass questions, and this scroll and him learning that he is also the descendant of Avatar Roku as well as Sozin, that's another big ass thing to think about. And he's thinking Sozin betrayed Roku so that the conquest could begin, but I'm the blood of both sides. And that's just something that he has to chew on. So I think he definitely kind of got the lion's share of character work on this, out of this backstory. So more Zuko development is always amazing for me. Always.
Absolutely. And I just love these kind of stories with lore and world building. These are my jams, and this is probably done almost perfectly. And again, Rod motherfucking Perlman. You get a platinum just for that one. I'm kidding. Seriously, it's a good call. Next week, tune in. You're going to get a special treat, everybody. We're doing 3 episodes at once. We're only going to do that one at a time, because that's the finale. But for this one, we just want to get these episodes caught up, because we have 2 two-parters coming up, and they're odd numbers, and they throw off our schedule super hard. So we're going to just get these 3 out of the way, and then jump into some big whammy double episodes. So
don't worry, y'all. They're 3 very good episodes.
Well, 1 super good episode and 2 that are just okay.
Yeah, fair. Okay. I was trying to ease them towards the triple, but that's fine. That's fine.
Listen. You get a blood-bending sandwich next week. There's no complaints. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you after the credits.
Bye.